In the meantime, I want to introduce our next panel and panelist. So basically, this panel will, the title of this panel is dApps are here to stay and changes come and go. And you also said that blockchain may rise and fall, but dApps need to persist. So guys, a round of big applause for our guest speaker, Peter Haas, aka.
Hello. Hi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And what I want to do is make a very, very short pitch with slides and then go jumpstart immediately into the application. And this is something which I would like to show live. Everything set up? I will sit most of the time, yeah, then it's easier for me to do the things. Okay. I'm a dApp developer, and I have worked like 9 years on a distributed application, and I would like to give you a little bit of background what the situation is like. Many of you may face the same challenges, and many of you may have experienced the same issues. So the developer's role is uncertain these days. We have a very complicated infrastructure, and we have a complicated situation. And that's why you get the first cat here, because otherwise it's too dreary and it's too sad. The infrastructure is changing all the time. And that is a challenge not only for the infrastructure companies, but also for the distributed app developers like myself. So if you take information from compare nodes, there are 140 different Ethereum node providers, which are the ones who actually run what we call Ethereum. And we have a couple of hundreds of other different chains. And well, we end up very soon in a situation where we have more chains and more nodes than active full-time developers. So maybe I did raise the question, is there too much infrastructure yet and not enough application space? That's worth another cute cat, because otherwise it's too sad for you guys. Developer activity is changing a lot. If you take a developer report recently, they found out 7.7K 7,700 developers are full-time developers in this space. And it is changing, like some protocols and chains are losing developers, like IPFS, Polygon, IOTA, BNB, which is the Binance chain, and others do have significant gains. So the activity at the attention of guys like you and me, the actual developers, is changing. And what is a bit sad for us here in the Ethereum world, the EVM world, Ethereum and all the level 2 chains around it, that we have lost a lot of developers that are newcomers, and they go elsewhere, mainly to AI and to Solana. And we have only 9,000 active developers left over from 20,000 who have started as beginners. So my conclusion here is, and it's a bit heretic, developers come and go. Some chains are already losing developers, and their attention is changing dramatically. User activity is changing also. If you take dAppRadar, which is a research service publicly visible that asks the questions, where are the users going, then you can see that from the heydays, like 2 years ago, Arbitrum lost a lot of attention, a lot of user activity based on a monthly basis. And then also Polygon lost more than 2/3. Ethereum is quite stable because it was always so expensive that it had not so much activity from millions of users. But if you then see Solana did rise from 120 million to over 300 million active user interactions. That's quite a gain, and that's quite surprising. And that makes developers in the space like myself a bit nervous. So that's why you get 3 more cats here to, otherwise it's so sad. So here are the numbers, which I will jump through rapidly, and I have made already my conclusions. But I did ask, what else can we take a look at to really understand where we are with distributed applications? And I said, well, let's take a look at the revenues. Do we have any recurring revenue streams generated by distributed applications? So therefore, we might get a picture which is important and what is neglectable. Stable coins like Circle and Tether, they are responsible for almost 90% of all the recurring revenues. And then comes DEXs, like the Uniswaps of the world. And then we have launchpads, actually services that help others to start token ICOs, stuff like that. And interestingly, number 36 is the famous and well-known Ethereum name service. So even name services, which have domain names like Vitalik.eth, they are not generating significantly revenues. So the conclusion is stablecoins and DEXs make 95% of the revenues. We don't have yet a market of distributed applications. And why is that? That is so sad. You get another bunch of sweet cats here. So my conclusion is that infrastructure is consolidating. If we have so much infrastructure, if we have so little activity of developers, and more than 50% of the developers have already moved elsewhere out of EVM space, what is actually happening? And I think the infrastructure will crunch from a lot of players, a lot of chains, and a lot of nodes to only few left over. And we will see fierce competition in the field of infrastructure. And infrastructure, I mean nodes, base, I mean chains, I mean all that we are dealing with for more than 10 years now. So what I think is maybe we have invested a lot of effort and assets into the infrastructure of the nodes and the chains. What about the infrastructure of distributed applications? Do we have something like an infrastructure to build applications? And my answer is no, I don't think so yet. And the answer is also a bit more complicated. What do we actually need if we talk about infrastructure in terms of application development? We want to have a fast rollout of applications. We want to have a framework for distributed applications that runs fast on multiple targets and multiple chains. We cannot rely on Ethereum only or on Binance or whatever you prefer. We need applications that give us a quick response time that behave like applications on your mobile or your desktop. So the user experience is key. And they need to be reliable and mobile first. So this is a lot of stuff. So we think that the infrastructure for application development is an important topic we have to take a closer look to, and we have to invest more. So the next kit, therefore, is not so nice. And now it comes, this is ChainScript. So all the stuff I've mentioned here within this 5 minutes was driving us to make ChainScript a new library that helps to support all the stuff I've mentioned before. And that is a lot. So ChainScript is on a very easy level a middleware engine, a library running in the client, in the browser, that routes user attention from one chain to the other. And this is because we expect that there will be very fierce competition among chains that are dying or in trouble already. And then the limited number of users will get routed from one to the other chain. We have developed ChainScript as a middleware that abstracts from all the atrocities of node providers, from all their creative ideas of changing APIs. We have a lot of differences among the 15 different EVM chains that we support today. ChainScript comes on top of this with an existing small stack of basic applications. This is not what I can show today. I should show you today only a little bit of an example. ChainScript is a method of rolling out applications faster. And what we target is a market of competing infrastructure companies that one day want to roll out distributed applications that users actually understand and that are user-centric, easy to use, and we think that we can save them a couple of years. So we consider ChainScript a jumpstart package for only few partner customers that want to roll out their own application and build up their community around an application. We have, for this purpose, developed self-custody accounting and a system where our application space is not dependent on wallets and plugins and things you have to deploy or install, but it all comes with one package. And I will show this a little bit later in the live application. We have a unified namespace that is not only on Ethereum mainnet, where we have Vitalik.eth. Oh, by the way, is here anyone who has an Ethereum name on mainnet on, okay, 2, 3 have it, yeah, okay. So what we wanted to do across 15 chains is that we can send assets like Ether or Matic or Polygon or any asset or USDC from one chain to the other. For example, from Andrea.napoli.eth on Ethereum directly to Giuseppe.roma.base. And then you take the 15 different chains I mentioned later, and then you see that it's a bit easier to transfer assets. As an example. So ChainScript in a nutshell, very short. It's an engine that runs across different chains in the EVM world. If you are from Solana or from Zui or any other chain, sorry, we are only concentrating on the EVM world, and this is expanding, and I cannot offer anything on Solana yet. It is a tech stack that roots user attention. It is enhancing the user experience, and it is making the development and the rollout of new applications easier. Okay, that's it. And now I will go to the live presentation of actual technology, which you are eagerly waiting for. And by the way, since everybody invested in this space, I have, of course, a lot of Bitcoin here. For each question, you get a Bitcoin. Yes, it's a whole one. One of the final few remaining. Yeah, I know it's difficult these days. So, give me a second to switch the screens again. Yeah, of course, if you want, yeah. Oh, this is good. This looks good. Yeah, go for it.
So I'm not sure I followed whether you also translate for chain incompatibilities, or you assume that the same bytecode will be deployed on all chains. Do you also, when you port apps to different chains, they could be slightly incompatible. They could have different versions of the EVM. Does ChainScript take care of that as well, or just the deployment on multiple chains and having the unified namespace? Is it like what does it hide from the low level part of porting to different chains?
The only level of self-awareness of ChainScript is that it can automatically, algorithmically compare the actual bytecode installed with what was intended to be installed. So it's actually making a hash, which is a fingerprint of the contract deployed, and it compares it what it expected to be deployed. And that's why we have like a table and an algorithm, which is ChangeScript itself, to periodically, once a month, make a survey. Are we yet on the same level on each of my target chains?
Got it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't port my app to different chains. It makes sure that when I deploy it on different chains, that it's exactly what I intended to deploy, and then it gives me the libraries, so it actually works over
but
everything.
with one thing I have to say or add, it is ChangeScript is not a general purpose tool that can port any app to any chain. It is more the base that I'm using for my application. That will be shown a little bit. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. So I think this is 2 Bitcoins. Yes, I need somebody who is actually okay. I put it here. You take it. Yeah. So to jumpstart into the actual change.
It's a fake. It's euro.
Well.
2 for the beautiful question. Other questions, guys, or? To
jumpstart directly into the ChangeScript editor, I have here a live version of one of my development servers. It now runs on, as you can see, seeklobby.1, which is a demo group of my application. And .1 indicates that it's running on Arbitrum 1. It's so a live application. And this, what you see in the middle, is Workbench. It is one of my chain scripts. And I can run here in the middle what I have here, the script. And you see, all of a sudden, it runs through. I make it a little bit more easier here. I have only 4 commands. The first one is a default account that gives me then the balance, how much Ether is on this account. I can have the number of the network, and I can get 1 block so that I get the actual block number. What I have here is the easiest example of ChangeScript making atomic commands that are easy and that are one by one executed in a script, so that is highly composable. So I run it here. What can I add to this? I have more than 250 different commands that can be mostly freely composed. The very simple ones have to deal with blockchain and default accounts and also with balances. But then you have something around token and shares, because my own application depends on group shares very much. And maybe somebody who is more or less aware of the name registry will be interested in this thing. If I have a name, for example, bit better? For example, I call the registry, which is the name registry, in this case, my ported name registry on Arbitrum 1, and I ask, give me the registry information you have collected in this name registry about my group seeklobby.1 in this namespace of Arbitrum 1. So I run the script, boom, and then it showed me here all the things I get back. Oh, what did I do here? Sorry. I have a pop-up menu, and it returns a lot of information it gathers from this call to the Ethereum name registry on Arbitrum 1. Why is this important? Because I can then use the results of all these calls to make decisions, to make loops. This is a scripting language that runs on Ethereum name services across 15 chains. So what else can I do? I can use the resolver and do the same. And I can ask for this name on Arbitrum 1, the same thing. I can collect the information. And as you see, it is collecting more than just one piece of information. It does wrap all the communication to the node into an atomic single chain script command. Is that easy to understand, or are you following me? Yeah, okay. So I run it. And I get here a lot more of information collected that is relevant to what we call the resolver of the Ethereum name registry. So there's a lot more of commands I can add. And the interesting and really challenging part is if it comes to transactions. I'm using my own editor here, and I just add a transaction. I will make it very short. I intend to send a tiny amount of ETH on Arbitrum 1 to one of my members of this group. You haven't seen the whole app, but it doesn't matter. So when is a member of the group Seek Lobby, which is just a sample name. It could be Naples, it could be Ethereum, it could be ETH Limo, whatever you want. Now I run the script. And now all the transaction management and all the management of the gas cost is done automatically. I see the small $sign, which means it has already paid for it. And I get a bit of information about the transaction hash and stuff that is related to the transaction. It makes a transaction in this space automatically easier, and something like ChainScript does the transaction for you in your name. If I want to double check, and I'm a bit of a technician or with technical background, I can go into the corner of this app and make a double click here. It shows me first that we are connected to Arbitrum 1, that we have a particular roll-up mainnet using, and the BlockPi node provider. If I double click, I get the RBScan Etherscan log file. So for the techies of you, this is to double check what I've done, the transaction in Etherscan. Anyone who does not know what Etherscan is or RBScan, so everybody is almost on the same page. Okay. I believe you. So if we have a member here in the group, which is called when, this is by the way, this is some sort of application I'm not introducing today. It is like if a team of members wants to build a corporate, a company with shareholders on chain, they can organize an Ungravel group. And Ungravel is the name of my company, and Ungravel is the name of the app. But it's all driven by ChainScript. So I go back. You just mentioned that, or remember that we have members. One is called Wen, one is Hell, one is Dan, whatever. If I have another transaction, I can use drag and drop, make it easier. Just take another member of the group called Hell and run the script. So I have in my chain script the opportunity to rapidly prototype in a business logic, a scripting language, interaction with different nodes and with basic components of my application stack across so many different chains. If I have a third one, say we also pay a little bit of funding to another member called Dan, and run the script again, you will see right away another transaction. What we are all struggling with in the EVM world is that transactions take a long time. On Ethereum, sometimes 15, 20 seconds if you are happy, and on some days 45 to 60 seconds if you have bad luck. The fastest chains I support are BNB, Binance, and Arbitrum One. So in general, you always have to wait a lot for transactions, and that's why we thought we could batch applications. I will do this. I add the batch command in my sample script. And then I run the script again, and you see that it does not do 3 separate transactions anymore. It does only 1. So we will double check. In the log file of my RBScan, you can see here 3 separate batched transactions. Why is this so important? Because all of the time the user is waiting for transaction and for transaction pickup, and that's crucial if you want real-world applications and adoption. So if distributed applications should look and feel the same like our mobile or desktop experience, we need to apply technology like this. So the next round of questions. Any questions here? Then I have a question. Yes? Some question here?
Yes. Okay. Maybe it's too early for this question, but how do you integrate the script itself with a real application? Like if I build my front end, let's say, then how do I because I see like this is a graphical scripting language, but then how do you actually use it from a UI? Like I build a UI.
Okay. That's a great question. What I've shown here is only my editor of ChainScript. My application, which I can show shortly, is here. The group that wants to build a company together is my application. And if you dig deeper into an account of, say, for example, Hell, I can double click here. Oh, it's a big. I have to make it a little bit smaller. I go into the application, and I'm now logged in my demo application as, oh, can you please, sorry, can you please call somebody else outside? Okay. I'm now logged in as one of the members of my group, which is called Hell. And Hell has his own avatar, he has his own account, he has his assets. So for example, Hell's balance is like a tiny amount of ETH worth 90 cents. And he has maybe a little bit of the USDC and stuff like that. If he wants to send, say, group shares or USDC or a bit of Ether to one of his mates, say to Dan or Wen, members of his group, of his company, he can use it here. For example, he sends shares, group shares, 7 group shares to Wen. And then as soon as the spinning wheel gets yellow, the transaction actually is confirmed, and then a block later, it is done. So in reality, coming back to your question, I need one more hand, sorry. It is one script beneath each menu item that you see. So in my application stack of this corporate building group where you have any menu item, whether it's transactions or it's the voting of the group, each one calls actually a change script. This one is transferring assets, as is the name of the script. And if I scroll down, I can see scripts can only have 20 different commands, so that you need scripts calling scripts, and you have a certain abstraction and also the opportunity to use a bit of subroutines, like a real scripting language. And what we have here in a very, very short, thank you very much for support. What we have here is that you get a little bit of parameters into the script, like input. And then here, the number 3 is opening an input modal dialog that asks the user something. And then you will use the user account of one default user. Then you have a little bit of a skip condition, which is a conditional command. You have very easy different elements that actually drives the interaction with the user. Each command is atomic and almost freely composable, so that you can set up these scripts easily and faster. In my experience, it accelerated my development in the past 2-3 years significantly. So right now I'm the only power user of this for almost 5 years. Yeah. So this is one script beneath one of the menu items. If this guy decides to send, for example, USDC across chains, then you get another script. How much time is left over? How much time is left over? 7 minutes? 5 minutes? How much time? Nobody knows, okay. Okay. So sending USDC is also a chain script, and it is in a way the business logic here to send inside my application stack USDC across chains. But the advantage is that once you have edited and applied one script, you can immediately use it on any other of the 15 chains I support, which is the core thing that I have developed during the past 8 years. Chains come and go. So my development of this application started at Ethereum, with Ethereum mainnet, where we all started one day. And right now 9 or 10 chains have been left because I think they are vanished, like test chains we don't have anymore. And then other chains are dying or are becoming zombie chains with no activity or no support. Today, it is not easy to understand which chain is relevant in the future. And here is the next question for you guys, also worth 2 Bitcoins, of course. What are you suggesting? Which EVM-compatible chain is interesting for me to target within the next month or years? Which chain do you want to see being supported by Ungravel and ChainScript? Any suggestions? Whatever. But Base I have. I can go to Base, yes. Thank you for that. Base is great. Base is super fast. This is BSC Binance. This is Ethereum. Maybe I have Base somewhere. Okay, we jump to Base. Yeah? Okay, we jump to Base. Give me a second. I jump cross-chain using my own ENS domain name dialog. It loads a group if existing, or if not existing, it would load the default demo group. In this same script, it's absolutely, we are now running Seek Lobby, a demo app, and a demo group of my, you could call it a tiny DAO application on base. And then if you are not sure, here in the left-hand corner, you can see I have a little bit of Ether on my default account, and I have here a basic information. We are running Base, it's a level 2 chain, it's mainnet, it's provided by one of my favorite block providers, BlockPi, which is from Singapore or Hong Kong. By the way, you guys would wonder how difficult it is to find 3 or 4 stable and reliable block providers for each of the 15 chains. It is really an interesting, and it's really a challenge. So Base, what can we do with Base? Basically the same. I do a double click on one of my demo members. Accidentally, it's also Wen, yeah, just fantasy names from all over the world. I have basically the same user interface. I can, for example, here let him vote on something. Maybe he thinks that his group should spend a little bit of the group shares, like 5,500, to someone like himself. It's just an example. It's technically, it's a low-cost multi-sig, but with a user-friendly user interface on 15 different chains and a homogenic and user-centric experience. And here, which is the menu that is more related to group activities, you can see that this guy, Wen, has suggested to transfer 5,500 shares to himself. So right now, it's just a proposal. If I go and have maybe his colleague, Dan, and he logs in at a different device, maybe his mobile, maybe his pet, maybe he's in Hong Kong. I need a password, sorry. So this guy is logging in, and he does see a rotating small symbol here, and he see you can transfer 5,500 shares to this other colleague, and he is now executing it. We have a group that consists only of 3 active members. Some others have already died or moved out, kicked out, or compensated, or left the group, whatever. So this is not the usual multi-sig wallet. It is more an application that gives you really the chance to build groups that might develop into corporate on blockchain, and that also ultimately can raise funding with auctions, selling their own group shares. But mainly it is to stabilize informal groups, even if they don't want to be a company. If they want to be maybe just some colleagues who have a deposit of 20 or 100 bucks and do something together. This is a low-cost opportunity to organize yourself and get stability. Well, I'm pitching my app, and I should stick to the topic, sorry. So in this case, we have made a decision, a group decision. Somebody voted for it, somebody suggested the proposal, and we are done on Base. Anyone else who does need 2 Bitcoin and supports and suggests a target chain that we should think of? Any target chain interesting for you? Any proposal, any idea? Otherwise, I would just name them. Yeah? Okay. The last one I will show you is another group called Love Coffee, just a random name. Yeah, sorry for the names. During the 8 years of development, I had to invent so many names. I made an algorithm for it. And it's just by chance, and otherwise you get crazy. So this is BSC. This is the same app that you have seen running with the same scripts, with the same business logic on Binance BSC or BNB mainnet. You can see here in the corner. So, questions? It is hot. It is loud. You cannot understand a single word. Any questions? Okay. Yeah.
No, just going back to my previous question. So, for example, this list of users, because in this case you specifically created an application for groups of users that they can interact with each other. But as a developer, can I use some standard components to create a different application that maybe doesn't have a list of users but has something else? Or like, am I fixed with the list of users?
No, you're fixed with a list of users. So it is basically a very truly distributed applications where you can, it is only useful to use it as a group. So it is a basic stack of services around this group building tool, and also with prepaid accounts so that you don't need a wallet, and then with auctions and the voting and a lot of other things, or the transmission of assets from one to the other chain and the unified name registry. That's basically it. But it's not a general purpose tool. So if you have an application in mind, it is not easy to apply this on my change script stack. In the contrary, I think, or I expect it more to be the application stack that saves companies a lot of effort of development if they want to do something in a similar fashion. For example, somebody has a strong user base and a strong infrastructure, maybe too much infrastructure, and he has a little bit of pain points to come out with some useful service at the end of the day and target a community, maybe in the space of advertisement or insurance. Then this would be a good starting point to save 5 years of development effort. So that's the situation. I would have loved to have a more general tool, but I was not capable of doing it. Any more questions? Otherwise, we say that's it.
Vabbè, questo è scarico. Ok, thank you so much, Peter. So let's wait